Hello there, welcome to episode 6 of Gregkru Maybe Watch Again. We have just watched episode 6, His Sister's Keeper, which originally aired on the 23rd of April and brought in 1.97 million viewers, which is 2 weeks in a row that the ratings have gone up. And I can see why.
Yes.
That was a lot. So
It was a doozy. It was a real doozy, this episode.
it was like not much happened and then a lot happened, but Amazon describes it as while Bellamy leads his crew into grounded territory in a search for Octavia, Raven can't help but notice the deep connection between Finn and Clark. And for once, I think Amazon have it spot on. The Amazon synopsises have been so bad.
It's either that they've been bad or they've described one small insignificant plot point of an episode that covers like 10 things in an episode or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get that the plot synopsis isn't supposed to just outright tell you what happens in an episode, but like they're sometimes so basic. You're like, you've better even scratch the surface of this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one, not too shabby. Summed it up all right, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this one was all about Bellamy and Octavia, really, and their relationship.
It was their story. It was their backstory from being in space together, from when Octavia was born, and how Bellamy dealt with it throughout certain times of his life, being on the ship, and his relationship with his mum, and sort of what he's had to do to keep Octavia safe and with him,
and what he did to fuck it up.
And yeah, exactly, and what he's done to eventually mess all that up and risk it all for
so she could save the moon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's really worth all that,
Yeah, I don't know if being that close to the moon is anything special.
I mean, yeah, who cares? Like, it's just the moon.
It's
I could
just
just
like
Google it.
a giant block of cheese.
Yeah, it's just a big cheese block.
Yeah,
you can see
it's
that in
a
my fridge
baby
right
bell.
now. I can go downstairs and see that in my fridge. It's like,
yeah,
get a life better.
Was it really worth it?
No, absolutely not.
Do not think it was.
So how do we start this one off?
It's difficult because it is like a straight continuation of the last episode. It's like it didn't have like a full like starting point. So obviously, how did it start? How did it start?
It started with a rather brief and rather quick birth of Octavia from.
Oh yeah, that was it.
It was,
right.
Yeah.
Continuity error here. The flashback said 17 years ago. So that would make Octavia 17, right?
Yep.
Wait, I feel like I'm being stupid.
No, yeah.
No, I'm being stupid. I was going to say, but then towards the end, a year has passed, which would mean Octavia would be 18. Wait, yes, it would. No, it wouldn't. I'm being stupid. Which would make, I was going to say, it would make her 18, which means that she would be floated and she wouldn't even be on the ground because she would have turned 18 and then have been killed. But that's not the case, because just because you add a year on doesn't mean that the original flashback was then 18 years ago. It was still 17 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that year later happened actually years later.
Yeah.
I'm stupid.
No, no, it's very confusing. It's their fault. It's not our fault. It's fine.
Yeah, it's totally their fault for being so confusing.
Yes, exactly. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, quick birth of Octavia.
And then when we say quick, we say like, I had the baby. There's the baby. There we go. Bloop.
It had sound effects though, like
it did. It was like
sloshy.
Yeah, it was like yeah. Sorry for every listener out there watching this. It was a bit of a.
what it was like.
It was, yeah, I had to grab, just so you had to get an idea, I had to grab my cheeks and then kind of just like flap about, and that's how I did that noise, just if anyone wants to know.
You don't know.
Um,
I've been watching way too much like dodgy TV. So when you said grab my cheeks, I was not
no!
like, wait, what?
Oh god, this is such a rough start,
Stop
isn't it?
watching Drag Race, Lucy. Stop watching Drag
Yeah,
Race.
yep. I meant my facial cheeks,
Oh,
Scobes,
okay.
okay? Not
You're gonna
my
have to start
booties
specifying.
cheeks. Yes.
That ass.
That yeah, so we see the baby, we see the
She
baby,
flew out. She
flew
was
right
very
out,
cute.
delivered by the stork, and that's the beginning of this episode. Obviously, they kind of are like, oh, we shouldn't have had this baby, because only one
Yeah, one
mother
child.
gets one
Per.
child per
One
per
mother,
person.
one child.
One mother, one child. That's all you get. And so it's, I guess, illegal. So
Hmm.
and the mum is just like almost instantly after the baby's born, she's just like, this is gonna be your problem. I'm just gonna kind of be here. You're gonna have
I
to like.
nap now.
I'm napping now. I've had the baby. You're just because you're the brother, you're gonna have to like look after this baby, even though you're like 6 or something,
Yeah.
and you're like not even that old yet. I
Your
mean,
sister, your
that was
responsibility.
it. Yeah, your sister, your responsibility, and like I think if anyone's to blame, it's the mum.
She wasn't a very motherly mother, was
No,
she?
she wasn't, and the fact that she was so. I would have minded that scene as much if the son was older, like if he was like in his 10 to like 15-year-old sort of self, he was a bit of an older guy, but he was literally what would you have said he was at that point? He was like 8
Yeah,
or
I was gonna say 8 because he looked a bit older than like 5 or 6, but not 10.
yeah.
Not old enough to be 10.
And how did he stop his newborn sister from crying?
Stuck his finger in her mouth, mate.
Yeah, blop, just right in there. Well, initially he just put his finger to his mouth and went shh, and
Yeah,
then he
yeah.
did it.
Shh. When you realise that if you just go shh to a baby, that they're not gonna stop crying, you gotta
Mm.
be resourceful
Oh,
and stick your finger in her mouth.
exactly.
Parenting tips 101 with
Yeah,
Scopes.
this is it. Let's go to the master parenter. Um, and
Said
then
no one ever.
what
But
do you make
yeah,
of the baby Greg? You look after the baby Greg. You know how to look after
you're right. You're
a
right.
child. So this is that. Anyway, sorry. What would
Yeah.
happen next? What happens after
What
that?
happens next? So we go back to real time when it's Octavia, isn't it? She's been
Mm,
taken into the cave
mm,
by Mr. Grounder Man.
yeah,
And she wakes up and she's got like a bone sticking out her knee, and it made my legs go all funny. And
yeah, yeah. I don't
hate it.
know how that bone ended up back in her knee and how she was
He
able to walk on it.
stabbed her in the eye with a hot, pointy knife, and it just went back in.
That doesn't
That's
know.
what I like to think happened. I
So
think
yeah,
from the sound effect when he like came in with the heated up knife or
mm,
whatever it was, the sound effect sounded like almost like the knife was penetrating her. So I think he might have like sliced her leg open and popped it back in,
yeah,
because when she came around, she had a cut there and it was like all healed. So I think he might have like had to cut it open to get, because the bone wasn't coming out of her skin.
mm,
So I think he must have like gone in and
yeah.
the
So
same
yeah,
way she came out, and then
so our new grounder friend
yeah,
takes Octavia to his cave. She's got this massive gash bones injury.
she's got this massive gash.
Scobes,
I'm
we're never going to get through
sorry.
this episode if
I'm
you keep
sorry.
saying everything I'm saying in a dirty way.
Oh.
Oh my god.
I'll be
Got this
censored.
massive cut with a massive bone injury. I don't know if that's,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, the grounder that swooped her up in the last episode, or saw her, comes in with a hot knife. We don't see what happens, but Scobes' interpretation is a bit of a stab heal kind of situation.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then so after that, we cut back to camp when everyone's freaking out because obviously Octavia's missing, and apparently now is just when everyone's now noticed that.
Yeah, there's a bit
Um,
of a weird transition from last episode from them
yeah,
sending the flares off to going back to camp.
yeah, because they were talking about the flares at some point, and they were like, "Oh, it didn't work," and then he was like, "No, it did work." I don't know because we haven't seen the space station in the present time frame
We
yet, and what
didn't.
because we know it did work. They saw the flares, then they know that they are there,
But they were too late.
but they were too late. But we do know that they're down there, so we don't know how they're dealing with it or what they're doing about it yet. Um,
Yes.
in the space station, that is. But anyway, yeah, getting back to it. So yeah, everyone's like, "Where we need to go find Octavia," and and yeah, we get some hard scenes to watch. Let's say that with between
Raven and
um,
Clark.
Raven and Clark. With it's just ultimate hard to watch kind of you know
Yeah.
TV right here. It's just difficult.
Like, it was awkward
Do you want to
be because we knew.
run it through us a little bit? What initially happened between these two? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so obviously Clark's being awkward because she knows that she slept with Raven's boyfriend, but poor little Raven has no idea and is just like, I'm on the ground, my boyfriend's here, I've got new friends, yay! We're gonna go fix the radio and talk to the space people. So they go. Clark takes Raven back to where she slept with her boyfriend because there will be stuff there that they can use to fix the radio. And when they're there, Raven finds the two-headed deer that Finn made for Clark. And you can literally see her eyes. You can see it in her eyes that she figures out that there is more to Finn and Clark than them just being on the ground together when she finds that little thing. And I think there was that backhanded compliment, yeah,
yeah,
no,
I would say
it
that.
was just
Yeah,
backhanded compliment when she said that Finn always finds the beauty in the unexpected. And I was like, oh, no, she didn't.
she did.
So yeah, then it got really awkward because it was awkward before because we knew and Raven didn't know, but now everyone knows and it's just awkward.
Yeah, yeah. There were some truly hard to watch scenes between these two ladies in this episode, and it's rough because we like them both. It's not like
Mhm.
you're rooting for one of them to end up with him. If anything, you hate the guy in this situation. You hate
Finn.
Finn. Sorry, thank you. Because Finn, yeah, Finn probably assumed that Raven was dead, but what gets said later in this episode kind of rectifies that as well. Is she says, "Oh, you didn't even wait. He didn't even wait like 10 days
Yeah.
from since thinking I was dead to kind of end up with someone else." But then, like, I don't know. You could really make an argument for Finn, I guess, being like, well, he has to move on in a sense, but he could have maybe let it lay for a little bit, or he could have at least her, told Clark,
Mhm.
hey, I had a girlfriend on the space station. I know, or I have assumed she's dead at least, and I don't
Yeah.
know. I get why maybe he didn't say it because probably it was like a hard thing to talk about, but
He just could have handled the whole situation
yeah,
so
I
differently.
think I think realistically, if I'm gonna really throw the blame game to anyone, it is Finn because Clark didn't
Oh, yeah.
know. Clark had no idea. She just liked Finn, and they had this connection. Blah blah blah. And obviously Raven didn't do anything wrong. She just came down and it was like blah blah blah. So if anything, I think by the end of this, Raven and Clark are gonna end up more as like not friends, but like maybe seeing more eye to eye in this situation, and then possibly getting more against Finn. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're both hurt by the situation, but I don't think they're mad at each other. I think at first Raven probably was, but as soon as Clark was like, I didn't know you existed, you could sort of see the tension drop in her face
Yeah,
and her realize, okay, it's not your fault.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
the bad guy. The
yeah.
fact he was trying to at the beginning, he was, like, trying to tell Clark, "I care about her, but I care about you too."
Oh
You
yeah,
can't
I
have the
forgot.
best of worlds, mate.
Yeah, yeah.
Make your
So
mind
we
up.
should really rewind to that point because we're getting ahead of ourselves. But yeah, there was a scene with Clark and Finn when they're about to shoot off with Clark and Raven to go get these parts for the radio, and they literally, Finn dead ass is like, "Oh yeah, I really like you still. Like we should." Talk about what's happened, and we should have a conversation. And Clark understand was just like, well, what's more there to talk about? You have a girlfriend. Like we can't talk. There's no more to talk about. What's there to discuss?
Yeah.
And then he comes out with this ridiculous notion of being like, I still care for you and I still like you, even though he's already gone and said to Raven, I love you, and he's kissing her and he's clearly with her. You know, it's ridiculous, man. And if I think if Finn was really a good guy, he'd either would have waited longer before trying to start with Tommy Clark, or the minute he saw Raven would have come forward because he was going to do it at the start of the episode. He said, "Oh, I've got to talk to you about something," and then she says, "What do you
Yeah.
want to talk about?" And he says, "Oh, nothing," and he pushes out of it. So he had his
When
chance. He wussed out. He is in the wrong. And hashtag cancel Finn on Twitter right now. He sucks. I him.
hashtag cancel Finn.
Cancel Finn. Can we get that trending?
Cancel cancel Finn 8 years after the episode
Let's get
ends.
him out of here. Get him out of here. Let's take him off the air. If he's in any other show right now, I want him just getting that. Just
Well,
screw.
without jumping ahead too much, you might get your wish.
Okay, good. I mean, well, we already have seen possibly the end of him by the end of this episode. Spoilers, but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, that's what I mean.
Well, this is it. Anyway, I forgot where we were kind of recapping the show at this point.
Yeah.
We've kind of gone on off a tangent here. So yeah, sorry. So they went to the bunker where, again, awkward situation. Finn and Clark had the hanky panky. They and
Bumped
so
uglies.
they bumped uglies. Thank you. And then so they leave with the parts. She figures out, hey, something's happened here. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, Scobes, but I think we go back to Octavia in the cave at this point, escaping out of
Yeah.
her shackles and where she is.
Well, yeah, she realized she can't get out through the top, so
Mm.
she starts pulling the cave apart as you do.
Yeah, and then we
Pulls the
get the
moss
second
out the
flashback, don't we? At that point,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So then it's sort of like her as a child, like I don't know, like maybe Bellamy's age when she
yeah,
was born,
yeah,
and his mum's like, "Oh, there's going to be a check soon. Get under the floor so they can't
yeah.
see you."
A check. We use that term lightly
Yeah,
in this episode,
yeah,
at least.
exactly. And then Bellamy's like, "Yeah, mum, how do you know that there's going to be a check soon?" Obviously, banging the old guy. By the way, he proper groped those cheeks. He did. Um,
There was a proper cheek groping scene.
yeah. But the guards come in. They stand in the room, pretend they're doing things
They,
while
yeah,
he
yeah,
gropes her, and they make a scene. Obviously, I my theory is that she's trying to get she's sleeping with him to get the check times and stuff, and also to get Bellamy a recommendation to
yeah,
join the guard. My
yeah,
theory is that she's doing that so that Bellamy can become a guard and find out the time, so she no longer has to sleep with this old creepy guy.
yeah.
Is what I'm sort of it's what I was hoping,
Yeah,
and that she wasn't just forcing Bellamy into being
hmm.
in the guard.
That could be a case. We really don't know. Yeah, I mean, either way, this mother's already lost some points for me just because of the way she handled Octavia being born and the way she was with Bellamy and everything, and just
Yeah.
being like, "It's your problem now," basically. I mean, she did kind of do some mothering in this flashback scene, but even when Octavia as a child was being like, "I don't want to hide," when the check was coming and the guards were coming. She then was
Mm.
like, Bellamy, tell her what happens when even
Yeah,
she was like
right.
passing it on again to Bellamy, and it's like, and don't get me wrong, Bellamy isn't a kid, but he's still like young, and it's still like really like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, at this point, he's got to be like, what, 16, 17, I
Yeah,
think.
it's just, I don't know. I I don't like Octavian Bellamy's mother in this at all. She's not. I don't think she's a great mother. And at least
Again, you don't feel sad when she dies.
no, no, not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. Um, I don't know if that's the case or I'm supposed to feel that way or not, but yeah, I didn't at all. Um, but yeah, they do this terrible check. They walk. They say they just literally walk around the room. They don't find anything. They leave, and then we flash back, or go back forward, I suppose, even to Octavia, older now, is trapped in this cave where she was left with the Grounder, and obviously the Grounder's not
Yeah.
there now. He's gone, and she's um, scurrying her way out of the cave.
She wants to break free.
Yeah, and she has
And
this
she does.
whole courageous scene of "I'm not scared, I'm not scared," and she's crawling her way out.
Yes,
Yeah,
because in that flashback, we were like a little bit distracted by everything else that was going on in that flashback. But I noticed, I don't know if you noticed, what the mum said to her.
yeah,
And you close your eyes and you say you're not afraid, and that's how you slay your demons.
yeah.
So it's all her fault that Charlotte killed Wells.
There we go.
Is what I got from that.
Yeah, yes. We've
It's
now
all
have the
Octavia's
and
mum's
that's another
fault.
reason why I don't like this mother. And there we go.
Yeah,
It's yeah, boom.
she killed Wells.
She killed Wells basically. So take notes, guys. You know, be careful what you say to your children because it could end up killing a random guy in the future. I guess I don't know.
Parenting 101
Yeah,
with Owen.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
Um.
Yeah. So yeah, she does the great escape
Yeah.
and runs,
Yep. She
and
does. She got that.
which is when she sort of
Runs on a knee that
in
she's just had insane
yeah,
healing surgery on it.
how she's just so strong
Yeah.
and inspirational, you know.
She's
Um,
inspired me to doubt. Yeah, I don't know.
she runs for her life,
Yeah.
and she indirectly bumps into the search party that's out for her. Obviously, they don't see her,
Yeah, so I
but
guess we should rewind again a little bit because I think we missed the scene here where we have a search party out for Octavia,
yeah,
including
Jasper,
Jasper, um, I guess a bunch of side characters that we don't really know the names of, as
bunch
far
of
as I'm
extras,
extras, and then we have Finn and
Bellamy.
Bellamy. Thanks. And they're out and about, and then one of the guys gets swooped up from a
Yeah.
tree.
Oh my god, the way the grounder just came down and up on that rope.
Yeah,
So,
basically,
oof.
yeah. Some grounder was attached to some kind of pulley rope system on a tree, I guess. I mean, I still don't know the science of how that worked, but he just got swooped down, grabbed a dude, swooped back up in like 2 seconds, like he's friggin' Spider-Man. And then before we know it, his lifeless body drops from this tree, and his neck is slashed open, and that guy is dead. We don't know the guy's name. He's just going to be guy number one that
Mhm.
died in this episode.
I have his name,
Oh, what's his name?
John.
John. Okay, they probably said it at some point. They were like, "No, John." You know,
I
yeah,
think they did mention
yeah,
it, but like I
yeah,
wasn't listening. But I've just found
yeah.
out, can confirm,
But yeah,
John.
so that happens, and obviously they all start freaking out, running around, and we
Chaos
lose
ensues.
how many? 4, I think, people.
3.
3.
So Diggs is the next one to die. He
Yeah.
runs into a tripwire, which then triggers some
Oh
mad trap to swing round and impale his whole
yeah.
torso.
Yeah.
And then poor Roma comes running round the corner thinking, "Oh, Diggs," and then realizes that he is dead.
Yeah.
And then
Just
she's like,
just
the
as the
best
world's
TV
worst scream.
scream.
Yeah, the best TV scream
The
ever.
best
Best,
TV
sorry,
scream.
best TV scream.
And
Yeah.
that sounded more like a Mariah Carey
Yeah, it
sort
did
of
a bit,
riff.
yeah. But you know, yeah.
So she runs in the opposite direction.
Off she goes. Um
Wh-
uh yeah. And she roamed too far from the group, I think, and
Well, she roamed into Octavia's path, didn't she?
she did, but she didn't see Octavia as far as
She
I
didn't.
can believe. But I think what I was getting at from the episode was basically one of the grounders saw Octavia try,
Hmm.
and I think either they missed and hit Roma, or they saw Roma as well and then hit Roma, and then I don't know because like I think later in the episode she says, "Oh, you know, if it wasn't,
Yeah, it was meant for me.
it was meant for me," and then they hit Roma. So I don't know if that means they missed her and hit Roma, or if they were just like, "Oh, we'll hit that girl and then we'll get her," or I don't
I
know.
think I think it was more if that grounder wasn't there to pull her back, she would have ran to where Roma
Yeah,
ran,
yeah.
and that could have
It
been
could have been like a double kill situation.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
they
a
would have bumped into each other and they
and
would
a
have killed them
360.
both.
He would have 360 no scoped them both with one shot, and he would have been like,
With a wingman.
That's going in my MLG compilation moments." That round would have been like, "Yes, 10 points to Gryffindor." Um, no, so Roma gets the old uh, spear in the chest, but this
A
time killing
fatal.
a fatal. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, we should say a fatal spear in the chest, because there are those apparent times where you get a spear in the chest and you just fine, you just get up from it and you
Yeah,
live
put a
out.
leaf on it.
You put a leaf on it, bit of seaweed, give it a few coughs and splurts and terrible acting, and then you're up and you're fine. Sorry.
Yeah, no names, Jasper.
No names, Jasper. No, Jasper's fine. We like Jasper. He did have a funny moment when they're all surrounding him and he's like, "Come on, then, come and get me!" And I'm just like, "Why is he doing this?"
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, he has
We'll
this.
get to that moment.
Yeah, he has this weird moment there. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, they cross paths, Roma and Octavia. But yeah, Octavia is then found again by the same grounder that saved her and healed her and kept her down at that cave,
Mhm.
and ultimately brings her back to that cave.
Yep. And then
Yep.
he chains her up this time. So
Mm.
she's trying to talk to it. She's trying to thank him, isn't she, on the way back? She's like, I can't walk any further. I need to rest. And then he, like, bloody bride carries her to the
Yeah,
cave.
he's just like, "Oh, let's go."
So
Yeah.
romantic.
I know. I thought he was gonna like Shrek carry her like over an arm. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
when Shrek
just
carries
kicking and
Fiona.
screaming.
Yeah, and she'd be like, "Oh no, no!" Like yeah. But no, he just carries her like newlyweds, and off they go, happy as a lamb. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, yeah, he carries her and he chains her up. And I think instantly, like, not getting too deep or anything, but you instantly see like the how young Octavia is meant to be, because
yeah,
she instantly starts crying and is like, no, no, please, because she's been locked up her whole life.
yeah, yeah,
And then he's just doing it again, and
yeah.
oh, it broke my
It
heart.
is. It is cool. It is an interesting way they juxtaposition that kind of her being a kid and being stuck in this hole, and then finds a way back in that hole in a different sense, in a different context. But it's cool
Mhm.
how they bring it full circle with that situation she had as a kid and that ultimate fear of being stuck in a
Yeah.
position where she can't leave. And
That's
props
what's
to her.
so great about her.
She finds a way out of it in this situation. But we'll
She
get to that.
does.
We will get to that. But yeah,
Yes. So then that happens, and then I think we have like a bit more of the Clark and Raven scenes that we spoke about.
yeah. I think
Where
that's when is that when Clark kind of has a confrontation with Raven about all this.
yeah,
Yeah.
Raven confronts her about it, and they realize that the women are not the enemy,
Yeah. Yep.
as we said.
Exactly.
And then I think it is that then when we go to our third flashback after that. I think.
Yeah, you might be right. Yeah, with the masquerade party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're getting to the juicy stuff where we see how Octavia ended up locked up
Mm.
again
Yep.
in another context. So
Yeah.
Bellamy is now a cadet,
Mm-hmm.
and he has come in as like, you can finally see the moon rise or whatever it is, and she's obviously so excited, but she's like, I can't go. And he's like, there's masquerade ball. I won't be wearing a mask. It's fine. So he puts this wonky mask on her,
Yep.
really wonky, really
Super
annoyed
wonk.
me.
Yep.
And he takes her to the ball, and then we had a dance party. They had a dance
Yeah, we
party.
did. Gotta say, folks, if we get to show off the video footage from this episode, you're gonna be mighty impressed with some Scobes dancing skills, and I
I'm
mean,
just saying, yeah.
I was blown away.
Like, might have to save that for the paid subscriptions. It was
Yeah,
that good.
yeah. I mean, this is gonna be worth every penny, guys. You know what? Get your wallets out, because this is gonna be worth it to
Get your
see.
£3 out.
That's it. Get your monies out. It's worth it. She's gonna be dancing here live on it. She's got the moves to show you. And even I couldn't keep up with it. I tried. I was trying my best,
I
but
can confirm.
I couldn't keep up. Just I couldn't match the moves that Scopes has discovered on her journeys across the world.
My journeys across Kent. Um, but yeah, so everyone had a dance party, and then there was like a solar flare
Mm,
warning,
yeah,
which I guess for safety they all have to go back to their things, but they have to get ID checked to, I guess, to account for everyone
that's a bit
and make
dumb,
sure that
though, isn't
everyone is
it? It's a
okay.
bit dumb, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
saying it, there was a fire in a building, but before everyone evacuates and leaves, they have to be like, well, okay, who's here?
Yeah.
Everyone, we need to check everyone who's here and present, and
They
then we
should
can
have
all
done
leave.
that first, like
Yeah,
before, like on the way into the party as a precaution.
or you would have thought everyone would go back to their station like places, and then you'd then go and check everyone's
Yeah.
ID, because then you'd be like, well, this person's missing, so this person's dead, or something's happened to them during the
Mhm.
solar flare. Not during the solar flare, or
Yeah.
before it, or before it's going to happen. It's just so backwards. But anyway, yeah, you were saying, I don't want to interrupt.
So obviously the panic ensues and Bellamy's like, just get yourself back, I'll create a distraction. Obviously she doesn't have ID because she was born illegally. But poor little Octavia doesn't know her way home because she's never left the bunk before. So she's like, how do I get home? And I think that's when it hits Bellamy that there is no way out of it.
Yeah,
He wings it. He tries to be like, "Oh, I've scanned her. Don't worry about it." And the guard straight away is like, "You don't have a scanner,
yeah,
so how have you scanned her?"
yeah,
And he says, "You have to let her go from one guard to another. I'll do whatever you want." And the guard is not having it. He's like, "You're not a guard yet, cadet."
yeah,
And obviously, the rest is history.
yeah,
We don't see, but obviously we know, she gets locked up because she's under 18, so she's not floated, but her mum gets floated for having her.
yeah,
And it goes straight into a year later with Bellamy being no longer a guard and he's a janitor. I guess he probably got sacked
yeah.
from that
That's
after
that's
that.
the assumption. Yeah, that he got sacked and he then just got placed as a janitorial worker on the ship.
Muggle.
Yes,
Um,
but
peasant. Um,
I think you're jumping now to the next flashback.
I can't remember if it was all in one or not.
No, no, I'm pretty sure,
Okay, okay.
because
Well,
that's when
we'll
the
we'll
whole
stop
shady
there then.
deal comes into play
The
right
shady
after.
deal.
Yes,
Yeah.
because
Well, we'll
that's
come back to that
yeah.
then.
So we come back to that. Yeah, but yeah. Um. So then, yeah. So after the party flashback, I think then we jump back to. I want to say we jump back to the party looking for Octavia, and they start freaking out, and I think that's when we have the heroic shouting moment of come get me," and,
Oh yeah.
from
Jasper has a
Jasper.
full-on mental breakdown
Yeah,
and basically just asks the grounders to come and get him. Like, if you're gonna do it, just bloody well do it.
yeah, yeah,
And surprise, surprise, grounders appear.
yes. But they were saved, weren't they?
Yeah,
By
the foghorn went off.
yeah, but there was no fog, weirdly, which was
There was no
a
fog.
bit strange. Yeah, they the
Do you
foghorn
think?
sat happened, and then no fog happened because they hid under a tarp because apparently that was going to save them from fog. I don't know.
Yeah. It definitely wouldn't.
No.
They're so lucky there was no acid fog. They would have all just been
Yeah.
fucking fried.
Yeah. And then they find out that yeah, there was none at all, and I think then they see another grounder walking around, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna get him, capture him, and then find out where he is,
Hmm.
and then kill it. Find out where Octavia is, and then kill him."
Yep.
Which we don't believe me. If correct me if I'm wrong, we didn't see that happen, do we?
We don't see them follow him. I think the next scene that we see is just Bellamy walking into, well, Bellamy and the crew walking into the cave where Octavia, well, the next scene we see actually is Octavia knock the grounder out somehow. She's
Yeah.
managed to pick something up with her shackles and bonk him over the head and he's passed out. And
Yeah.
then Bellamy just appears in the doorway, like,
Just
so I guess they did follow him.
yeah, it's a bit weird. Well, you don't know if they followed him or like they happened to pound upon him, but yeah, I'm going to assume that they followed him, and that's how
Yeah.
they figured out where she was. That's
But
my guess.
before it all kicked off in that cave, did
Mm.
you notice what Finn found?
Finn,
He found a foghorn.
did he?
Yeah, he went, he done that sort of line to himself. He went, a foghorn.
Oh yeah, I must have missed that, or I must have forgot.
Yeah.
When does it happen? In the
So
cave or before they get to
in
the
the
cave?
cave, like when they find Octavia, but the grounder's knocked out, so no one's really doing
Oh, so
anything.
that's okay. Now I'm with you now. Okay, sorry, that I blew over my head somehow.
So this grounder is an actual hero and blew that foghorn probably to save their lives because he
Yeah,
knew that, well, if he speaks English, he knew that one of them was her brother.
yeah. Something to mention. Yeah, we don't hear the Grounder speak a single word in this entire episode. He's
Yeah.
with Octavia. Octavia does try to speak to him many times, and he
hmm
stays very silent. So we
Maybe
don't.
he understands and can't talk,
We could
or
be
maybe
that,
he just doesn't understand.
or he just chooses not to talk. We don't know. He could
Yeah,
be deaf for all we know. We might not have any way of hearing people
true.
and hasn't figured out, sign language and things to communicate properly and
hmm
lip reading and stuff. So who knows? We don't know.
We don't know right now,
Yeah.
but yeah. So essentially, I think that's what it's meant to insinuate that he blew that foghorn,
Yeah.
so knowing the grounders would retreat because it's a warning.
Basically, this grounder
And
has saved Octavia twice. Saved
yeah,
the entire group of Bellamy, search party for Octavia, from all the rounders because they're all going to die then.
hmm
And then for the whole trouble of it, he gets knocked out by a rock and hit on the back of the head with some sort of stick, I think.
but he is okay
Yeah.
because he does come around and then start they start fighting.
Yeah.
In Before all this happened, Octavia has taken the key out of his hand, and her and Bellamy have unchained herself, so she's free.
Yeah.
Um, and then Bellamy and this guy are fighting, and the grounder stabs Finn,
Yeah.
and then he's holding like a spear or something against Bellamy's throat, and Octavia screams, "Stop! That's my brother!"
Yeah.
And I think then you sort of see him hesitate, like, "I'm not gonna kill him,"
Yeah.
but it's Jasper. I think it must be
It was
Jasper knocks
Jasper.
him out.
It was Jasper, yeah. Jasper hits
Yeah,
him on the head with like a pole or something, or some sort of blunt object and knocks him out. Yeah.
yeah. I genuinely don't think he would have hurt Bellamy after she said that. That I
No.
saw a hesitation in him.
Yeah. Well,
They
we know,
didn't need to do
we
it.
know. Yeah, I mean, we know he's capable of as much as mercy as any well-doing like human. Like he doesn't just kill people,
Mhm.
as far as we know, for no reason. I mean, he
Yeah.
probably would have killed everyone there if he. I think um if Octavia hadn't said what she said about
Yeah.
it being her brother and everything. So yeah, and you can't really blame the guy for going crazy and stabbing Finn, because as far as he was concerned, they were probably going to kill him, or he didn't know otherwise what they were doing there. And
Yeah, it was very quick, wasn't it? It was a
yeah,
very quick sort of reaction to someone
exactly.
going for him, so he
Yeah,
went for
I mean,
them.
he might have assumed that those people there weren't even Octavia's friends, and they might have just been other grounders, and he's just kind of like acted on instinct in that
Mhm.
situation, maybe.
Yes.
But yeah, he gets knocked the f out, and
Yep,
then Octavia and the rest of the gang get out of there, basically.
they do. And this is where I think we go back to that final flashback
Yes, I'll let you explain that one. Yeah.
with the big reveal. So you guessed, was it last episode or the episode before,
Yes.
that it was Kane that gave Bellamy the gun to shoot the Chancellor, Jaha. We learn in this that it wasn't, it was his right hand man, Commander Shumway. He came back to him.
Doesn't necessarily completely make.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
necessarily wrong.
No.
He might have been told to do it
Exactly, because he
by
is the
Kane.
right hand man of Cain. So
Yeah.
you always want to look at who's at the top of the food chain a little bit. I mean, obviously it
Mhm.
wasn't Jaha, but who's under Jaha and who stands the most to gain from Jaha dying? It's still Cain.
Kane.
The way you
Yeah.
look at it. I mean, why would a guy who's in the let's just essentially say the space police force, or whatever you want to call the guys up there, I don't know if they have like an official name for all the guys
And
up
they're
there.
just called
Yeah,
guards.
the guards, let's just say the guy who runs
Yeah.
basically the guards of the, because I'm pretty sure that's what he is, or that's what he does by the time that flashback happens. What does
Mhm.
he stand to gain from Jaha dying? And
I
nothing.
guess he would be the right-hand man of the Chancellor then, so he would be in Kane's position, which would then put him next in line.
I
So
guess.
maybe he wanted Jahar and Kane dead.
Yeah, it seems a bit. I don't know. Yeah,
Very
maybe
far-fetched, but
yeah. I still don't trust Kane, and I still
mhm,
think that it's him that's pulling the strings. He seems like because Kane doesn't seem the kind of guy to get too involved. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't. What I would thought he'd want
keep
to
his hands
keep his
clean.
hands clean. Even when a few episodes ago when he was dealing with that black market lady, you know what I mean? He didn't really like make any sort of deal with her when
Mm,
she offered it to him. I mean, we're talking a few episodes ago when she was like, "Oh, I have this information, and you give me this, I give you that," kind of thing, and he was still like, "No," he didn't want to get involved in that. He didn't want to get his hands
mm,
dirty in that. He still used that information, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. He strikes me as the guy who would do something vindictive, like get rid of Jahar to get power, and he would do it in
mm,
a way that's a bit snake-like and a bit, work behind the scenes and have someone do his dirty work for him.
yeah.
Yeah,
I get that vibe,
yeah. So I
but
am
maybe let's
still
find out.
number one culprit is still Kane.
He's still
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm still saying it's Kane, even with this scene happening. And I think it's a huge just red herring flag.
Mhm.
Um,
A red heron
a red
flag.
herring flag. Yes, it's a red herring flag. It's the official term I'm coming up with now.
Love it.
But yeah. Anyway, sorry. You continue with the description here.
Yeah, so he comes in, he knocks on his door, and he's like, Cadet Blake, and he's like, Janitor Blake, because he's been made a janitor. And he said, he basically reminded him of what he'd said a year ago about doing anything to protect his sister, and spilled the beans on Jahar's plan to drop the 100 onto the ground to see if it's survivable, and offered him a seat on the dropship, so that if they die, at least Octavia won't die alone. So I guess in Bellamy's mind, like, what has he got to live for? Like, his mum's dead, his sister's locked up, so he's got nothing else to live for. He might as well go be with his sister. But the the catch is he has to kill Jahar to do it. So he hands him the gun,
And
and the rest is history.
yeah, I mean, it's nice that they picked up the pieces a bit and explained detailed in like what
Mm,
the situation was with the sister and what exactly happened. I mean, you know more or less the story already. You know
yeah.
that he shot the chancellor and he thought he was dead and all this, but yeah, you don't really know everything until you watch this episode and you get a full like
All
completely
coming
yeah.
together.
The whole picture is painted at this point now, and you really get why he does what he does and a lot of the motivations he's had since coming to this point in the series, and the same for Octavia. And I think it's nice to have that you know confirmation of like, oh yeah, this is why he's been like this, and this is why he's been so protective of Octavia. Everything
Mm,
you get the sense of it, and you care a bit more now. I think about Octavia, and
yeah.
I think in general you sympathise more with their situation a lot more now, which is
Yeah, I
nice.
was gonna say, like, this goes hugely towards the sort of you starting to feel attached to the characters.
Yeah,
Like, this contributes hugely towards them too, I think.
I mean,
More so Bellamy, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, definitely. I mean, well, even I don't know. I'd still argue that Octavia gets more of a sympathy vote just because of the
Mm,
real harsh situations she got put in. Being locked
yeah,
up
the
again.
constant being locked up.
Being put in that really awkward position of like having to know that all those people came to save her and a lot of people died trying to help her. Even
Mhm.
though she gets to sort of say her peace of mind on that, I guess by the end of the episode, which we'll get to. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of on the other side of the fence. I feel
Mm.
more. I don't know. I'd feel more for Octavia.
I definitely feel more sympathy for her situation.
Yeah,
I feel like I learned more about Bellamy,
yeah, yeah. I'd say
like
that.
why he is the way he
I'd
is,
agree
and
with that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just talking
but
sympathy vote
yeah. Oh
wise.
yeah, yeah,
Octavia gets my vote
absolutely.
more than Bellamy.
I am like hugely biased because I just love Octavia's
Because
story anyway. But
yeah, because you really could make an argument for a lot of people being at fault, and Bellamy is definitely one of them for like taking her out to that party and making that risk for something
mm,
that wasn't really all that necessary for her. you've made that risk. And if you think about it, if you didn't take her out, she didn't get caught, there would be no way she would have ended up on that ship to Earth. They would never have ended up on Earth. Bellamy
Mm,
wouldn't have had to have shot the Chancellor, and it's, what I mean. Like, it would have stopped a lot of
yeah.
this running of events, sort of leading up to a lot of things. But yeah,
I feel like while we're like having this conversation, we might as well skip to that really intense
yeah. I mean, we're
last
basically there.
scene.
We're basically there at that
Yeah,
last scene
I
now. I
mean,
mean,
we'll talk about Finn and what's gonna happen next as we wrap it up, but,
yeah,
like, this like, the back and forth well, it wasn't even back and forth, was it? It
no,
was
it was a straight roasting.
Octavia
Yeah,
just letting everything out that she has been holding back since she can remember, I think, since she can first remember being locked up, and blaming Bellamy for the mum dying and her being locked up and then being on the ground and Jaha and all of these things that she's just throwing at him like this is your fault and it's all because of you. And we were sat there like this is harsh.
yeah.
And then Bellamy comes out like my life ended the day you were born. And if
Bellamy
you
hits
were
a bombshell with her really hard.
he
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
He doesn't throw as many things at her,
No,
but they hit 10 times harder.
yeah. And then it's a shame that it was kind of mullied a little bit by that weird, like, I'm going to leave you. And Octavia tries to leave. And then Bellamy grabs her arm and says, you can't leave. And then she kind of just says, ugh.
You can't make me you can't tell me what
Oh, yeah.
you can't keep me locked up or whatever, and then
Yeah.
walks back in.
And then just walks back in the camp. It's like, okay. Yeah. But apart from that, it was a real strong scene and it was really gripping and it was, it
Mm.
was a strong, hit to the feels for both of them. Yeah.
It was. He completely 180'd her,
Yeah.
argument of "You're the reason mum died" to, "Well, mum died because you're alive." He completely 180'd that background to her. He was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not taking the blame for that one. You are."
Well, in reference to that, I'm curious to know what you think. Who is more to blame overall? Is it Octavia or is it Bellamy, in your opinion, at this point?
Bellamy, because Octavia didn't choose to be born.
Exactly what
That
I was
was his
thinking.
mum's fault,
Exactly what I was
and
thinking. Yeah.
he chose to take Octavia to the ball,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
and
I'm totally on Team
that's
Octavia.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is right in this situation.
Yeah.
He just hit home harder,
Yeah.
and I think it was the "My life ended the day you were born" that sort of
Yeah.
as soon as that was said, it doesn't matter whether he turned around and blamed her for the mum's death because he'd already said enough.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I
Be
mean,
interesting to see what happens
you
next with
you
their relationship.
yeah, you can't blame someone for being born. It's ridiculous, and it's no one's fault for that. It's that, realistically, yeah, it's what Bellamy chose to do, and
Especially because, as well, in one of the flashbacks, she says, "I wish I'd never been born."
yeah,
So for him to then turn around and say, like, "My life ended when you were born,"
yeah,
like, knowing she has already felt in the past that she shouldn't have been born.
yeah,
She probably does blame herself.
yeah.
Oh, oh,
Oof.
big
It's
oof.
a big oof. It really is. But yeah, that was the bombshell of the ending of that episode. I mean, along with Finn being stabbed and may possibly being dead, because Finn comes back to the camp stabbed where everyone trying to help. And
Mhm.
we don't really know what's happened to him yet. We don't know his fate. It might be another situation where he's out for a couple episodes and he's just healing, or he'll be fine eventually, or he could be out of the show by the next episode. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the next episode is called Contents Under Pressure.
Ooh.
So does that give you any hints
Not
on what
really.
might happen next?
No, it just tells me that things are going to get probably
Pressure.
more pressured and more feisty and more crazy by the next episode, which I wouldn't expect. Which I wouldn't expect anything less from this show. I mean, I feel like every episode it's cranking up that tense level
Mm.
more by
Especially
more.
Yeah, especially with right the last line of this episode being "A storm is coming."
Yes.
Like, I think a
Yes.
lot is going to happen in the next
Yeah,
episode.
absolutely.
Obviously, Clark says she can't fix Finn unless she can talk to her mum. So,
Yeah,
are we next episode going to finally get some contact with the
I
Ark? Is
would love
Raven
to
going
see
to be
that.
able to fix it?
I would love to see that. Yeah, I would. Because
Then
we
we'll
know
see
Clark's
some
still got some
Clark.
unfinished business there with her mum. So
Yeah,
I want to see that
exactly.
happen. I want to see that come into play. Hopefully that happens in the next episode. I would love to get that going.
I feel like it kind of has to because I feel like there has to be a sense of urgency.
Well, yeah, and we've had it going along this episode, even this episode, with Raven being like, "Oh, your mum is the best. Your mum is badass," and then every
That
time
was
she, yeah, and every
amazing.
time she mentions it, yeah, Clark's just like, "Shut up, like you don't know
Yeah,
what's been going
it's sort
on."
of like it's got to happen. She's
Yeah,
hinted. It's been
exactly,
hinted. It needs to happen.
exactly. So yeah, I think we'll get that definitely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
know we're
So
kind of running on high on time here, but I guess do you want to quickly talk about the old pros and cons of this episode?
yes, 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 yes. You go. You go. You go.
Okay, so I would say pros, like really good action on the scene of the grounders taking out all those people. I thought it was really good, really believable,
Mhm.
and I thought it was just like, whoa, it's crazy. Um, and just great acting, I think, as well from Bellamy and Octavia's actor and
Mhm.
actress. Like they did great, and they were really the star of this episode for me. I think they were great, especially Octavia. I think. And I would say, yeah, just in general, like the tension as well between Raven and Clark.
Mm.
Just you know, tops
Arguably
fucking.
a con.
It's a con and it's a pro, just
It's a
because
con. Yeah.
it's both a bit of both, but it was just well done. I think, and
Yeah.
I like how she found out about it as well. You know what I mean? I like
Mhm.
how it was found out in a way where it wasn't like oh
Dragged on.
dragged on. It was a good reveal for her of how she found out about the relationship between Finn and Clark. And I guess yeah, I don't know. I think of anything else really. I think that was mainly it. Just a general strong episode. I guess cons. Terrible use of ADR in this episode. So many lines of
Yeah.
people being like, go over here. What's going on?" We both have voiced our feelings on that many times, so I won't harp on about it. But yeah, we both so many times.
Yeah.
Way too much lens flare again. Keeps happening. Every
Yeah.
flashback is blinding. It's kind of pissing me off a bit. By the end, I was like, Jesus Christ, stop. And I think my only other gripe was maybe I would have liked to have seen of people kind of realizing, or I don't know, like it felt like everyone suddenly realized Octavia was gone, and there was no scene of Bellamy like being like,
Mhm.
"Where's Octavia?" or something. You know what I mean? Like it was just suddenly everyone was
Yeah.
like looking for Octavia. So I feel like
Yeah.
maybe it could have done with like even if it was in the end of the last episode where someone comes up to Bellamy and says, "Oh look, no one's Octavia's not been back. Where's Octavia?" And that would have been
Mhm.
fine, but it just felt like we just jumped from like, "Oh, everyone knows." Like I don't know. I guess that maybe I'm nitpicking now. I don't know.
No, no, I think one of my cons is there was only a few very rushed points, and that
Yeah,
was one of them
yeah,
where they was like, we've just got this is what this episode's about. We're just gonna go straight into it. So that them coming back from the flare to the camp that was completely missed, which I
yeah,
guess in between is where they would have realised Octavia's been missing.
yeah.
Um, as well, we didn't mention it, although we probably should have. The meteor shower
Oh
that they
yeah.
saw with the 300 bodies being um, evacuated, I
Mm,
guess, from
yeah,
the ark.
yeah,
Um, they very quickly like that's a big thing.
yeah. They
Um,
rushed
they
that.
brushed yeah they brushed over that and didn't mention it again.
Yeah.
Very early on, which is probably why then we didn't talk about it because
Yeah.
it's not
It
mentioned
was
again.
such a small part of the episode. It was one fairly short
Mm.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like just like little bits like they they left the cave. What did they do with the grounder? Like I want to know. Like
Yeah.
did they leave him there? Did they bring
Yeah.
him? Like
Uh,
they didn't really show anything.
Yeah.
But everyone is back in camp now, and we didn't see the grounder brought in, so
They just left him
I
there, I
guess they
guess.
left him.
Yeah.
Yeah, couple rushed parts. That's my main con, and like the little, like you say, the voices and stuff is very annoying.
Yeah.
Um, I think my pros are probably the same. Big character development on Octavia. This is where it's starting. I would say this is the beginning of her character development, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
And I like that they narrowed in and that everything is finally coming together.
Yeah.
I think we're getting somewhere now. That it's actually becoming less of a teen drama and
Definitely.
more of a
Definitely.
sci-fi thriller sort of thing. Not quite like an adult thriller, but
Yeah,
we're getting there.
it's definitely ramping up the drama now. Definitely.
Yes. Yes. So out of 10?
Out of 10, I'm going to go with, and I think it's just a strong 9. Yeah. Yeah, 9 out of
Ooh.
10 for me. Yeah, I thought it was great.
I'm gonna go a bit low. I'm gonna go 8 this time because I feel like it was a bit slow paced overall
Hmm.
in comparison to like the last episode. Like a lot happened in the last episode,
True.
but there was still enough to keep you sort of like, ooh, it's a
Yeah.
good one.
I do agree
That sort
that,
of.
yeah, I think last episode was a bit more of a jaw dropper in terms of
Hmm.
big things happening and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I can understand why you drop it down a few points. Yeah.
Yeah, and we are currently on 90 of the 100 left.
Oh yeah.
91, including Bellamy.
True. True.
Yeah, so we lost 4. So we lost 3. We lost 3 of the 100, and we lost Bellamy and Octavia's mum, which don't count, but I'm gonna just say it because she's
Yeah.
deaded.
She is deaded.
Yes, and then we got next episode. It's gonna get good. We're gonna find out what happens to Finn, and yeah, I'm just excited. I am excited.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be a
Yes,
good one.
but
Don't
we
miss it, folks.
don't don't miss it, folks. But until then, remember life is about more than just surviving.
And may we meet again.